Hello, welcome to Sway Talks. Today's video is really interesting. I get to interview a friend, Diana Contreras, also known as Didi. Didi Rock for her art. She's a visual artist, a muralist, and we dive into topics about art, the meaning of art, how you can use art to influence others, yourself, how you can mature in art, how to find beauty in brokenness, and how her current work has been inspired by human rights. Yeah, I got really deep, got really personal. I really like it. So enjoy this interview. I hope you like it. Yeah. You asked me what's different about this room since the last time. I'm like, well, yeah. You worked on a lot of.
I finished.
You finished a lot of unfinished pieces.
Yeah.
And I guess this is where the revision comes into play with the whole pandemic. It was just an opportunity. How was that for you?
Well, actually, it became an opportunity to do digital work. Because
cool.
A lot of the jobs that I had lined up for murals had ended. I had a solo show that everything kind of shut down. I had a solo show, got shut down. Everything got like postponed or ended because some businesses I don't think survived. So I started doing digital work, which was really cool. I hadn't tried something different for like 10 years because like spray painting wasn't something I tried 10 years ago. So digital stuff, I always was against it. I was always like, I love art and the traditional way. I'll never do something digital. Like,
You're one of those.
Yes. And I was proud. It's like, oh, never. That's not art. That's not art. And then I saw what people are doing with it. It looks amazing. It looks like, like materials. It was like painting and watercolor. And like the way people are using it is incredible. Yeah. I'm not at that level. But definitely me starting to use the iPad that I won.
That is so cool that you won an iPad
I
Pro.
won an iPad at an art battle doing digital art.
No way.
Yeah.
So you won the battle and you won the iPad.
Yeah.
That's cool. What they had you do in there?
It was so cool. It was for Apple and for Secret Walls. They had contacted me to join up with another artist, Brian Butler, to do a live battle in like Aventura. It was somewhere like in a fancy Apple where it was like cool. 2 big screens and like a stadium of people. It was a lot of people.
Wow.
And we were just sitting there with a little iPad, like trying not to look up because I had never done that before. And I was like sweating and went blank. But my partner, Brian Butler, was amazing. He just like helped me. He's like, this is how you do this. Like, and he made it. And he's the one. He's the MVP. I tell them he's the one that made it. But I won an iPad and I got to practice.
That's cool.
With it.
That's cool.
So I worked on a whole bunch of images for a digital app called Ya Tu Sabes. It's like charades, but like for Latin people.
Ya Tu Sabes means like you already know.
Yeah, Ya Tu Sabes. So that's what I did with the pandemic, and then being able to be home, with my kids,
your babies,
and digital art. Yeah. And then after the pandemic is when everything picked back up, and I was like in here. I'm here like every day.
Yeah, I want to be here all day, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does a day look like to you? You come into the studio. Is it you're going to start something new? Or you're going to keep working? You told me that you can work at 3 with you can work 3 different pieces at the same time. I'm like, wow, that's a superpower right there.
Yeah, I like to paint many pieces at once to kind of keep the same like rhythm and same like vibe, because like Monday I'll feel a different way than Friday, so there'll be different paintings. Yeah. So when it's like a series, I like to work on them all at the same time, keep them in the same room, use the same colors, and then finish them all together. So yeah, I come in, get a little cafecito, get a pastelito. And then just start working, and I have a lot of like fun friends that stay here.
Do you paint to music, or do you
Definitely.
paint to silence? How's your?
I always paint to music. I can paint to silence because I always forget when I do murals to bring my speaker. So in my murals, I usually paint just like city sounds, whatever is going around me.
Yeah.
And I always like to know, what's going on.
Right. You don't want a truck to come at you. And,
Yeah, so
like you're on your AirPods.
So that, but in the studio, everything. I listened to all kinds of music. The DJ was just DJ Gabriel was just saying, man, you listen to everything in here. I listened to like ABBA and Britney Spears and like Nicki Minaj and like Peruvian, like old indigenous music. Everything.
Well, today was Selena.
Yeah.
It was some salsa music.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And it could be completely different tomorrow.
Yeah, or in the day, it just switches in the day. I have a very eclectic, just like my art, how it has like so many different, like the same way with music, everything.
And we were talking a lot about the meaning of art and trying to become better people and better artists. How we can use that art to impact people, and how dangerous it is to think that art, when you approach art in a selfish way, it's kind of like the wrong way to go about it. But you also mentioned something is like it's a natural thing to see when you start young.
Yeah, I think like I used art as like therapy for myself to heal, because sometimes you can't say things in words, or like people, like it's hard for me to express myself with words. So in pictures, it helped me to like see what I was feeling and let me like take it out of my system in a positive way. And then once I started to feel better, I was like, okay, well, how can I help others? And it was helping others, like seeing just trying to be raw. Like Frida Kahlo, one of my favorite artists, the reason why I love her is like she wasn't afraid to be honest on how she felt about people and things, hard things that she was going through. She was just so raw about it and transparent, and that made me feel like, oh, it's okay to feel this way, and like this will pass and I will survive. So putting my art out there and then having social media is kind of like where it took off. I started to post it and people shared it, and that's when I realized that it's not just for me, but especially, we're talking about street art. Like when I do street art, I purposely think of other people. Like, how are people in this neighborhood gonna like it? How are they gonna relate to it? Always having them in mind. But when I do like personal work, it first starts like with me, like how I'm feeling, but then I think that a good artwork gets reaction.
And we were also talking about street art, how that's an opportunity also to not only express yourself, but also to learn about other people, which is as important, if anything more important, because that impacts your future work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one thing I love about my job is the traveling all over the world, getting to being hosted by locals and getting to know the people, and it's just beautiful. Like I've feel like I have family in other parts of the U.S., and I'm getting invited to like Aruba and Panama, and so it's going to become like international. And I've always loved traveling before I started pursuing art. So definitely the people, getting to know them, that's such a great part of what we do, the connection with like humans.
Right. Yeah. And you said, and there's something about humanity and the pieces that you have here. You have a lot of artwork here that you're going to showcase in your gallery and hopefully sell.
Yes.
But the overarching theme for your art, you mentioned it was just human rights.
Yes, like these 4 pieces here in this studio, I feel like, why am I painting this? I don't know why I'm painting these things, and what do they have in common, And I'm like, I'm painting them because this is all like human rights. This is all about like humanity, and like that's taken away from you, and that's what they all have in common. They're all different people, different races, but they're all human, and they all deserve that God-given freedom,
Yeah. And sometimes we take things for granted. Like, on that topic of human freedom, there's a lot of people that can't do what we're doing right now. Like, just have a simple conversation about art, about freedom, do a podcast, an interview, a video, and just paint freely, without being, I don't know, arrested or murdered. And And just to add more specificity to what you're saying is, one of the paintings that you have here is really inspired by what's happening now in Cuba.
Yeah.
You said that you were in Denver, right?
Yes.
And now this was happening.
Yeah, I was in Denver doing a mural and having a show, and then my phone started going crazy with things about Cuba. I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? You know, people are contacting me to paint murals for Cuba and do artwork for them, and I wasn't even in town, you know, but I couldn't believe. I was so like happy that something was happening, because it feels like change, you know. Now I have family that are, you know, growing up in Miami, I feel like I'm Cuban raised.
Right. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
and being here in Little Havana, so I really feel it's like a personal thing. It's a personal thing.
Yeah.
For what's going on. And I have like my nephew is Peruvian. I mean, it's half Peruvian, half Cuban, and he's there protesting. He's only 4 with his little poster. So that's what inspired like my last painting. The last painting of the show. Yeah, that's my last painting.
I can see it. I can see it in your work, and I can feel it. I can feel it in your work. We connected the human rights, the strip of liberty, to brokenness, right? And we also talked about how we're all broken, and we tied that into something that you have here. What's going on here?
Well, this is pieces of my mural that were part of the bakery that went under construction, and I was lucky enough to pass by and find the pieces of my mural, my broken mural on the floor.
This is not the first time.
Not the first time. It's happened many times.
Yeah.
Many times. And I really feel like they're my babies. So it hurts every time.
Yeah.
It's never easy for me to lose a mural, get painted over. I've done things in the past where I've put like missing flyers of like my mural, like missing girl, like this day, 15-foot tall woman missing here. As a way to cope with it, and also, you know, humor, you know, gets through things. So when I found these pieces, I thought like I want to do something with this, because this is something that happens a lot. Part of street art is not forever, so I feel like if I did something, then other people kind of like see, like feel what I'm feeling, or see what we go through when we do this type of work. And that particular mural was for like when the whole Black Lives Matter was happening, and all the protesting was happening. So me and my friend Steph, we decided that, well, she came into town, and we were like, well, we cannot paint anything but something about this. Like, we can't ignore this. It was the only thing in our hearts. So we painted 2 Black girls, one that had just passed, an activist from Florida. That's the one with the angel wings. And another one was representing the future, you know, Black and brown women that are fighting for human rights. Yeah. And they are like holding hands, and it's called Better Together. And I'm very happy that I found that piece, because I never do social commentary pieces. That's probably my first one, you know, that I've done. And so to find it, and I saved it, and I'm replicating what I saw on the street at my show. And we're talking about how like you can interpret it as, what was it?
We can
a death or a rebirth.
It could be a death or a rebirth. Looking at these pieces, it's very unfortunate that things like this happen. I don't know the feeling, because most of my work is just digital. Right, but I guess this is like someone just tearing down my video and just banning it, and just like never showing me, not being able to show it to anyone ever. But compared to this, is like, this is laborious work. Like, this is a lot of work. This is you on a ladder, you know.
I did it pregnant too. Remember?
Yeah, I remember. I remember. Photos. Yeah, he was like,
this was definitely labor of love for, you know, Little Havana.
Yeah, and Little Havana is like a special place for you.
Such a special place.
Yeah, this is obviously where the studio is located.
Yes. Also, I had my first art show when I sold my first painting in one of the art galleries here, and I was like, oh my God, I feel like a real artist because I sold the painting.
That's great. Like this is a special place to me too. Like I don't live here, but I obviously got like the goosebumps right when I came back to the office space. I was like, oh man, I missed it.
It's like a creative, alive place.
Such a creative space, and from the moment that I parked, I was like, yeah, I remember this. I remember the routine and coming up the stairs, and but yeah, it's like Little Havana is where I had my first office space. I did a lot of my work for the first time, and it was also, on a note on Cuba, it was a place where I witnessed and actually recorded the celebration when Fidel Castro died.
Wow.
Yeah. So when that happened, they had like some sort of parade and get together in the front. Streets were blocked, and I just went down with my camera and just documented as much as I could. Yeah, this is a special place, and obviously Little Havana is inspired by Cuba. So, and being Miamians, we should take on the call to at least talk about it. What can you tell us about the topic on revision?
The name Revision came up. It made a lot of sense because the work that I'm showing is 7 years in the making, and I have painted over it many, many times. It's changed so many times. I've revised it so many times. And everything I do, my installation, everything, I've just been revising and changing. And the pieces of the humanized pieces that I just did, there were something else before. It was another idea that I had 7 years ago, and then all this has happened, lately, with the Asian hate crimes and the Black Lives Matter and the Free Britneys and the SOS Cuba. It's all like recent. So I changed it up quickly to paint what I'm feeling now, to paint the present. And this type of the style I'm painting right now, neo-expressionism, is very quick. I'm able to just put like paint down fast. It's not supposed to look like realistic. It's supposed to be like movement, and I feel like that's the best way for me to express what's going on, because it's like constantly changing. It's a lot of information, social media. So I can always add when something new happens, when Britney is free, when Cuba is free, when, so that is, I felt the best way to paint this, and I can always revise and change it. And that was in my heart, and I'm happy that I'm doing it, because I'm not trying to just paint a pretty picture. I'm kind of like getting out of my comfort zone and talking about topics that, are important. And I felt like that's definitely the road I want to go to. How we were talking about how art, like I was telling you how like art is for me, but like this is now art like for the culture. This is like now like saying something in worldwide.
Absolutely.
So I
think that's the next step, right?
This is the next step.
As an artist, that's the it's so funny because you told me that someone interviewed you and asked you, what's your end goal?
Yeah.
What's your end goal?
What's the end game?
What's the end game with being an artist? And my response was like, there's no end game, but if we want to have an answer for that, it's just to evolve to that level where it's just not about you anymore. Like at first it may be about you. It may be that you take on an art and it helps you as some form of therapy. But I always think, my opinion is that's pretty limiting, and it might help you, and I can't, deny that it won't. But it's important to get to that next step, right? To the part where it's about the culture, it's about society, it's about what's happening today, it's about us connecting with each other, because that's what art is at the end of the day when you reach that mature level. Well, I'm glad that you had this interview with me.
Me too. Yeah. Thank you for coming.
I know it was a little bit unexpected. Years. Yeah. We spoke like 2 times on the phone, like the past year, and
and then I always like all your videos. Your funny video.
Thank you. Now we're gonna do a funny video. I promise we're gonna do a comedy video.
That's my dream. That's your dream. Bucket list to be something. Yeah, like I love SNL. I loved like all the National Lampoons. Like my
Oh,
dream
that's
was always
cool.
to be
Yeah.
like even an extra and like something funny.
Yeah. Well, you gave me permission to have to choreograph a fight
fight
scene here,
scene,
and as
yes.
we're doing the fight is also creating like an art piece at the same
Yeah.
time, and then you get to sell it,
Yeah.
and I get 15%.
Yes, we have the video with the painting.
Right.
We had to
Yeah,
have a film with
right.
the painting.
So,
It's
yeah.
gonna
I think it's gonna work out.
for sure.
It's gonna work
I'm
out.
gonna buy another house.
Yeah, I need it.